I definitely hope this could be about the last video, but just got so much to say to y'all because I definitely want to cover back. Closing in on, the stuff that occurred with the panel member from that stay in North Carolina, Leslie Wright. So the matter with the other person in the midst while, I'm being contacted and informed with other people that have been victimized by her. As continuing off from Port 7 and Port 6. So I'm just going to keep it broad to y'all that there's a legal case pending. Money was withheld. So we're going to, definitely as that update come on, I'm sure we'll probably be speaking about that on maybe 2015 behind the scenes, maybe so. Now we're going to talk about it on the radio show. Nah, we have a lot of topics to cover on the radio show, so that's why we're not going to cover it on the radio show. But now if you're going to ask what's the situation, I'm still going to follow through as I need to follow through regarding what she did. It's a habitual habit. She has had many victims, and a lot of people like to play this. Oh, well, and you know what? The law make it so like this here, these people here that has no conviction, they are just real con artists. And because it's a lot of process to it, because you have to put up so much money before you get your money back, and so forth, like this, you have to show extra proof, because, they such con artists. They're like, okay, well, they'll make you, oh, you ain't gonna make me feel like that. So, to let you know the other situation that is a happening situation, updates on that situation, maybe that's something you have to hear through the grapevine or whatever like that. So far with this situation, this is not a closed matter. What I said, that's what I hold to, that's what she did. Basically, she owes that money. So what she did, she paid for when I wouldn't sign the email letter, I told her, I'm not signing it. You just need to straight hand over the money because you was requested with a 24-hour notice 2 weeks ago to return that money. You didn't. So you was in double violation. Besides, so she was like, well, if you don't get there and sign this here, I'm going to get there and I'm going to refund everyone their money. Now, whether she refund everybody their money, I know she's refunding most of them. And then someone just told me, look, I'm not going to worry about it. I can't deal with her. She did this to my friend or, so forth like that. And then, it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mind because it was like, well, we shouldn't have to be informed. Sometimes you could really help a person that you don't have to go out the box with them, but sometimes you do because if they're con artists or whatever like that, they just have to. Just like if you work with a doctor that's no good, and you referring them to the specialist or whatever like that, they come from primary doctor that's just just no opinion, like it's just no opinion, it's just not extreme nonsense. Okay, I'm not talking about petty stuff, I'm talking about extreme nonsense. Like no, you being felonious. Those kind of people, you're gonna know what matters, and you're gonna have to bow it. You get there trying to avoid bad, wrong, whatever happening. It just don't work out there in life, But long as one soul is contented to doing the best they can to keep things going, and the best it could be, then it ain't nothing for me to feel guilty about. I expose that people know what it is. So it made a lot of sour relationships on that end, but eventually maybe they may grow, maybe something else may happen, but just keep going forward with this event. And I'm sure other people have been through this here, and if you're trying to live your life where you have no errors, or be like, well, if I'm going to deal with errors, I'm going to deal with white people, you're just going to keep yourself disenfranchised and bored up and so forth, economically depressed. So keep going forward. I'm not letting it discourage me. It makes no sense. So let's update you. I believe it was video maybe 5 or 6, something like that. Maybe something like that. I know video 1. Well, so I informed you about HBCU Kids that was the hosting of this event, and the religious war that occurred. Therefore, with that, so we she has her own audience personality. But my main thing, as I'm gonna state in reply, is how you gonna serve the people that you know what I'm saying, you want certain or limited answers to, getting offended by everything. Um, but it's a lot of people like that, and being that old petty, the extreme petty, getting offended over everything. Okay, when something happening to you, it's extra wrong, and so forth like that, and you got the the way you doing it is right to remedy. But when it's the poor person going through it, and what I'm saying, it's like, oh well, no, you need to go get an education, all that kind of stuff like that. Oh no, I would do this here. Something ain't just be off the rockers, because like for example with the situation that was at hand, with child care, whatever like that. If you have a problem at child care, whatever like that, doing petitions, poor people are just not, they're at risk. They don't have that weight to get somebody, you gonna get there and do petitions. Sign no petitions and not get no repercussions, where they get their food cut off, they social, their check gets taken out the box or whatever. They get a case putting on them where they have to defend. I mean, some things just ain't reality. So people serve their own audience, so that's where that divide occurred and stuff like that. But you can't, if you have a question and you getting offended with somebody put back out to you, that's a response from an angle, and just because it ain't within the angle what you could accept or understand it, oh, that person, that person being too distorting the education. People are not, when their economics is challenged, it's deprived, the businesses are very sour, compromised. Education is not first priority, or education is not something that you can get there and pour out on a person as though it's going to solve their problems, because we understand that it's not. Education is important, but you have to release that in transitions to people. Just like buying black, you have to release that in transitions to people. People are not going to go 100% buy black. They can try, but it's just not reality. And just like you can't just pour education on people. Education is important. I'm never going to discount for that. Education is important. But you have to understand the factors and variables from the situation. And when a mother has to work 2 or 3 jobs to take care of her child, she's not, and she's the real sole single parent. I'm not talking about those that have a cousin or next door neighbor. I'm talking about a true single parent, okay? That work 2 and 3 jobs, and they can't get there and invest in their children's education because they're making sure that they have a home, making sure they're not sleeping out in the wintertime, maybe so that they could pay partial child care when the child is at daycare. And sometimes it may not be the best child care what the child is comfortable with. So, you can't judge a person or just feel like, that going to get a job, being all invested in education is going to solve the problems like it's first priority. No, you have to, moderate in between that. Education is important. Education is important, but you can't just hound it at everybody. You have to realize the factors and the angles, and not just this all or nothing mentality. And everybody pray. People always like, well, everybody pray, and just because you pray, everything ain't auto for everybody. But a lot of people just won't understand that. So further, we're gonna close on. I ain't gonna say the word close, so guess what? I'm opening further to discuss about it any further time soon. But as just go further on. I was like, okay, I was gonna do videos just to give y'all, I was gonna do one of the videos over again to give y'all updates. I was like, nah, you know how it was then. That was, a different time, and what happened in between that time till now. Maybe some people want to know, if things gonna ever come back together. No, it ain't gonna come back together. I am for serving a diverse audience of people within the ones that's highly educated, but I want highly educated people that are true to heart with layman people, and they're not all developed in their education, and they feel that, okay, when we talk, you have to do everything professionally in a strategic order, or everything has to be what I say because I'm educated, And I don't want people that's highly religious, because there's a lot of things that they just won't understand street. You know, you go to church on Sunday, they don't talk about history. They don't tell you, they don't give you street sense, really. At least 99% of the churches don't. And if you're not that kind of church, then I'm not talking about you, okay? This is where I'm talking about fractions. Take the fractions and the words what I say into context. If it's not true, don't relate it to you. Don't tell me about 5 or 10 churches you know meet the list. Because what? 1% of 20 million is what? Okay? So, you know, we talk about all this divide, division. You know, you have the religious debacle. And you know, this literature debacles, the religious wars, and all that going on. So my audience is mainly to layman people, whether you're highly educated, whether you're poor. It is mainly for the layman, gifted. You know, you don't have to be 100% layman, but you have to have a relation to the layman. And I have to represent, you know, I'm from the Deep South. I'm from the Bayou. So I can't, you know, I have to present that. I can't just jump into something that is not all where I come from, because, yeah, that's a picture that's painted of what it should be, but it's not where I come from. And so, therefore, you know, I have to go and represent where I come from, and I represent, you know, that person growing up, that African or Keebline descent child growing up in, you know, where I was misdirected education. Where I didn't get the full educational options as I should have had. Didn't have an education that was able to balance with me. The options I had was more of an all or nothing, or what they wanted to give to whom. And I want to make sure, you know, I want to speak, represent for that. State of Black Parent is about a legislative means. So I'm going to have to do another part of this video, and this is video 8. So I'm about to do video 9. So I believe I'm going to break into 10 videos all over this long year. So, oh, we're on 12 minutes already.